Are you ready to redefine failure and discover how to tap into confidence? I'm chatting with Dr. Brittney Ezell, who shares her unique perspective on failure, courage, and yes, quitting. Dr. Brittney Ezell is a former college basketball head coach, a dynamic public speaker with a doctorate in leadership. With a remarkable history as an SEC athlete, she now embarks on a new journey in entertainment ticketing and real estate, leveraging her nearly 3 decades of leadership in collegiate sports. Renowned for talent development and adept event management, Brittney is recognized for her investment in people, effective communication, and instant rapport building. Named Executive Vice President of Elite Entertainment Experiences and later CEO and team leader at Keller Williams Johnson City, she embodies a winning mindset, fostering transformative relationships, and as you're about to experience, exuding infectious enthusiasm. In this episode, Brittney and I discuss how failure is not the end, courage is a choice, confidence is rooted in past success, the importance of mentorship, and the distinction between quitting versus pivoting. Dr. Brittney Ezell will be a keynote at the Maine Women's Conference on October 25th in Portland, Maine. This conversation is a little taste of what she's going to share at the conference. And I encourage you, if you are not already in Maine or vacationing in Maine at that time, to come to Maine to the conference and see Brittney in person. The link to get your ticket is in the notes for this episode, so scroll down to access that link and be sure to enter the code that is in there as well. Okay, on to my conversation with Brittney. If you are new to the Women Taking the Lead podcast, hello and welcome. I'm Jody Flynn. I'm the CEO and founder of Women Taking the Lead, a leadership development company that works with organizations and boards to close the performance gap by attracting, developing, and successfully promoting more women into senior levels of leadership. I help organizations realize these benefits through coaching, consulting, leadership development programs, and keynotes. I am now the past president of the board for the Maine Women's Conference, and I have the privilege and joy to work with women leaders to hone the skills and the mindset that allow them to grow into and then thrive in senior leadership. My specialization is working with women who are still stabilizing after their last promotion and those who want to be ready for the next one. If we are not already connected on LinkedIn, please send me an invitation to connect. You can find me directly at linkedin.com/in/Jody Flynn, or you can search on the platform for Jody Flynn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so I should be at or near the top of the search results. Be sure to add a note to the invitation letting me know you're a listener of the podcast. I would love to connect with you and get to know you better. Welcome to the Women Taking the Lead podcast, Brittney.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
I'm thrilled, so thrilled. And so just to kick off, everyone's heard your professional bio so far, and they really get gosh, you've done some really amazing things in the world. We've had good things said about you. Is there anything else you'd add about yourself and what you're up to in the world?
Oh, gosh. I'm pretty dorky. I'm pretty normal. I'm pretty amazed that I'm on a podcast like this still. But my bio is really not about me. It's about all the wonderful people that have contributed to my life, good and bad. And I am a very grateful failure is what I am. And so work in progress, to say the least. Jody, really, really just flattered to be on the podcast and to get the opportunity to do some things that are coming up for us. So, yeah.
Yes. Speaking of which, keynoting the Maine Women's Conference, which I'm super excited about. So you actually just segued into what I wanted to chat with you about, because your keynote, the gist of your keynote is going to be all around redefining failure.
Yeah,
So you've already like been a little tongue in cheek about it. So I feel comfortable saying like, Brittney, you're an expert on failure. Like, and that is your message.
I really am. My entire professional career has been in kind of competitive arenas where there's a scoreboard and there's a definitive winner or loser. And when I was able to kind of step back and look at it, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. My world didn't end. I woke up every day after a loss and learned something. And so that's been kind of my message, is getting people to understand that failure is not the worst thing that can happen to you. And it's not even the opposite of success. It's not. It's part of it. You can't be successful unless you've really experienced failure. And so I credit all my success to, failing fast, failing forward, and most of the time failing really hard. The opposite of success is quitting. And so that's what I'm just trying to redefine, is letting people know it's not that bad.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple things I want to underscore there, because I know for myself and a lot of women listening, there's probably some perfectionists and recovering perfectionists listening right now. Yeah. And for a perfectionist, failure feels like the worst. Like logically, we know it's not the worst, but failure just feels so mortifying. And, as we know, for perfectionists, a lot of times we'll avoid really living full out because we're trying to avoid failure. And what you've just shared with us is, and I want to repeat that, failure is not the opposite of success. Right. Quitting is the opposite of success. Say more about that. Let's dig in there.
You want to dig into that? Let's try not to make it too painful for me, Jody. Okay, because I am a recovering perfectionist. At times I do relapse, much like jumping on this call with my technology issues. That was giving me anxiety, but I've learned not to apologize for my shortcomings or things that I necessarily can't control. I'll say, I appreciate your grace. Thank you for your patience. I'm not apologizing. I couldn't control it. And so a lot of times what we have to wrap our head around is there's things that happen in our lives that we just can't control physically. We can't plan for. So we have to stop letting it take up space in our emotional life and our mental well-being. You couldn't control it. Why are you apologizing for it? It's okay. It's okay. And, I guess the best way that I look at it is, how are you ever really going to appreciate success? How are you ever really going to appreciate the top unless you've experienced the bottom? And the doldrums and how lonely it can be and how dark a place it is. But what failure really does for me, it gives me an opportunity to call on courage. And that's really what it is. People say, oh, you're brave, you're going to go do this. You don't just wake up one day and say, golly, I just have all this courage and I'm super brave. No. I've had to pick myself up and find some courage. And that's the only way that you can really kind of ignite confidence, is fail, muster up some courage, and go reignite your confidence, because confidence is nothing but a memory of a previous success. And we've all had them. And we've just got to call on those when we need that right after a failure.
All right. That's another quotable. Confidence is nothing but a memory of a previous success. That is so in alignment with a lot of things that I say with my clients, because, as women in leadership, one of the things that we want most is just to feel confident, right? Feel comfortable in our skin, confident in what we're doing, like this self-assurance that we're doing a good job and we're going to be okay. But confidence comes after you've taken action. Right. Yeah, it's not something you can think or will yourself into. It's like, I'm going to sit here pumping my arms till I feel confident. No, that's not confidence. That's just trying to get the adrenaline.
That is, that's almost trying to release so many endorphins that you don't even know what you're doing. So yeah, I understand. Nothing that I really talk about, Jody, is novel. I can just take complex things, and the way that we say it in the South is we can bring it down so the goats can get it. All right. So I'm gonna break it down real simple for you. I can't take your confidence away, nor can I give you confidence. I can just remind you of who you are. And your confidence has to come from within. What have you done really well? What is your signature strength? What are you walking in? What are you standing on that is uniquely you? And then you have to remember to draw from that. That is your superpower. That is you. I'll get a lot when I go to do keynotes. People are like, oh, I heard you're a motivational speaker. I'm like, why do I have to motivate you to do something you want to do? Like, I'm reminding you of what you said you wanted. And if one little failure knocks you off of that path, you didn't want it in the first place. So I really don't see confidence being that hard. I don't. When you realize that you were created uniquely with this special skill set, with this signature strength. I always struggle when people say, oh, I lack confidence. No, you don't. You just lack memory of what you're capable of doing. So I'm here to remind you. Yeah. And that's what good coaches do. They remind you of who you are. So I spent 23 years coaching and coaching some of the most fragile. I mean, we all remember what it was like to be 18 to 22. But I always thought, too, that a good coach was created because anatomically we can't pat our own back or kick our own butt. And that's what a coach has to do sometimes, to remind you of who you are. And when you fail, be there to say, do it again. Do it again. And when you succeed, say, do it again. Do it again. So just don't quit.
Yeah.
That's where it all comes from.
People talk about like mentors, and what they're usually thinking about is like those official mentors where they've been assigned to us and we're paired up. You're my mentor, I'm your mentee. But I think back in my life, like the biggest, I would call them mentors, even though we didn't have an official mentor relationship, was just they saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself yet.
Yep. Yet. That's the best part. And you know as well as I do, a good mentor does nothing other than hold up a mirror and says, look, because we don't see ourselves for how we really are. We kind of twist and contort and change, what we think, but we see ourselves out of a window. We don't really take a good hard look at ourselves. Mm-hmm. A good mentor holds up a mirror and says, look here, look how perfect, look how perfect this person is. Look how perfect you are for this situation. I don't see imperfections in the mirror. I don't. Mm-hmm. And that's what other people have to understand. Your failure is not an imperfection. You messed up on something, great. It doesn't make you a failure. Failure is an event. It's not a person. Now, I'll describe myself as a very gracious failure, but it's really kind of more describing how I do it. I'm grateful when I fail.
Right. Failure is an event. It's not a quality of a person, right? That like this thing was a failure, right? That like earlier you were talking about the technology challenge. The camera wasn't working. The camera failed.
The camera failed me, and it definitely failed me, Jody, and I was ready to strangle it. All right. So, gracefully I can't go to jail for that. But, it's like people say, oh, I'm such a loser. No, you're not a loser. You lost. You're only a loser when you quit, because now you've got no chance of winning. You've quit. If you fail, it doesn't, I get really, it just tears me up, because I was from an early age, just uber competitive. I just wanted to see how good I could be. Mm-hmm. I didn't really care what you were doing, but I was going to notice what you were doing, and then I was going to do it a little bit better, just because that was me. That was how I was, I guess, came out. I don't know. But I people that say things like, oh, I'm such a loser, I'm such a failure. I'm like, oh, honey, like, where did that come from? Like, who told you that? Who lied to you? Mm-hmm. You're not. And I think more women, and especially in leadership positions or in roles of influence, just need to wrap their head around it. You're not a loser. You're not a failure. Failure might happen. Yes. Losing might happen. Yes. Winning is still out there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you have to define what a win looks like. What is winning to you? Is winning getting up 5 minutes earlier? Great. You won today. Is winning, flat ironing your hair when you know it's going to rain outside? You're probably going to fail right there. You probably are. But if that's a win to you, great. Did you, eat a salad instead of fast food? Great. Find a win. And it's stacking those small wins. And it goes back to what we talked about. Confidence is my memory of a previous success. Stack a bunch of small wins. And when you stack them all up and put them together, now you got a bunch of memory of saying, okay, I could do that. I can do that. I can do that. And now it's just easy. I get people ask me all the time, like, did you just wake up confident? I'm like, no, I woke up knowing today is going to be fine no matter what, because I've made it through all the worst days I've ever had.
Mental fitness is your capacity to respond to life's challenges with a positive rather than a negative mindset. What diminishes your mental fitness is internal saboteurs. Saboteurs are the voices in your head that generate negative emotions in the way you handle life's everyday challenges. They represent automated patterns in your mind for how to think, feel, and respond. They cause all of your stress, anxiety, self-doubt, frustration, restlessness, and unhappiness. There are 10 different saboteurs, but not everyone is impacted by the same ones. There's a combination of 2 to 4 saboteurs that are likely more familiar to you. Are you curious to know which saboteurs are impacting your performance, wellness, and relationships, and how they do so? To take the saboteur assessment, go to positiveintelligence.com/saboteurs. You can also find the link in the episode description right in your podcast app. It's hyperlinked, so you can click right on it. You can also reach out to me afterwards for an insight session if you'd like to dive deeper into your results. So again, to take the saboteur assessment, go to positiveintelligence.com/saboteurs and find out exactly what you need to do to overcome your saboteurs. There's 2 different directions I want to go right now. So
we're in a fork in the road. Bring it on, Jen. Let's go.
Let's go back first, because I eventually want to get to breaking down quitting, but that's towards the end. So we talked about getting to that place of confidence, but action is required first. And before action, sometimes we need courage. And it sounds like from what you're saying, there's a few different ways we can tap into that courage, right? We can listen to people who see things in ourselves that we're not seeing yet and trust them, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, they see this ability in me. They see that I can do great things. Okay, I'm scared, but I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to trust this person because they're important to me, or the relationship is there, and I'm going to give it a go. Or it can come from, like, maybe you just have small wins and you think, okay, now I'm building some momentum. I'm still scared, but I'll give it a go. Are there any other places we can tap into courage, or any other way we need to look at courage to use it more as a tool?
That's a great question. I'd probably have to think about that, because the way that I've always operated is I could outwork my self-doubt. I felt like I could outwork it. If I really broke the problem down or the issue down and into small bites, I could outwork it. And that's how I got stronger as an athlete. If I wanted to lift a certain amount of weight, I didn't start out trying to lift that weight. I started out small and I got better. And then I moved up and I got better. So I always felt like I could outwork my doubt. Mm-hmm. And that's just athlete brain.
Yeah.
But when it comes to courage, I guess that for me, like you said, you have to trust the people around you. But for me, I had to trust myself. Mm. I love pouring into other people, and I used to love that when I was coaching athletics, but I can't reach inside of you and pull it out. I can't. I want to, because if I could, I'd, be coaching in the NBA and doing all you just can't do it. It's not something I can give you. It's not something I can take away from you. Courage is hard. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, like, what are you really trying to muster up courage to do?
Yeah. It's like you said earlier, like, well, what is win? What is a success, right? Even if you fail, Did you get something out of the experience? Did you move something? Did you make progress? Did you hope to move something forward? I think sometimes like breaking down the wind to like, it all goes perfectly to,
Yeah.
I just want some experience, or I
Yeah.
just want an opportunity to see what it's like.
Yeah.
And
I always struggle, or I tend to struggle. Well, I don't want to say always, but I tend to struggle when people say, well, I don't have the courage to go ask for a raise. Let me explain something to you. That's not courage. Courage is what it takes to leave an abusive relationship. Courage is what it takes. There's a difference.
mm-hmm.
This isn't courage to go and ask for, what you deserve, what you've earned, and what you rightfully should be getting, rather than, something that's causing you physical harm or mental, there's a lot of different ways that people look at it. And so kind of like, I get real frustrated when people call athletes heroes. They're not heroes. They're not. We're not, curing cancer. Like, we're playing a game. We're not saving lives. We're playing a game, So it's always hard for me in these conversations, because people say, oh, I just don't have the courage to do it. Is it courage?
Mm.
Is it courage, or is it just reluctance? What are you?
Mm. Or is there differences between courage and bravery?
Exactly. Like, what is it? And I think sometimes people find words to be synonymous, and they're not. And that's what's hard for me. And this is, go back to what I said earlier, big dork, kind of nerdy. So when they use words that aren't synonymous, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Please don't make me do this. Like, don't do that.
Yeah, my boyfriend, who's an English teacher, like we often talk about how words are important. Words change the meaning of things, or words can confuse. Speaking of which, you brought me right here. I love it. Quitting. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I heard you saying earlier, because I was brought up, I have my mom's voice ringing in my ear. Don't be a quitter. Don't be a quitter, right? That sort of thing. But then there are nuances. So let's talk about words. There's retiring, there's pivoting, and there's quitting. And when I hear quitting, and kind of in the context of what you were sharing, wasn't so much deciding, okay, this avenue isn't for me anymore. That's more pivoting. Mm-hmm. Quitting is when you quit on yourself.
I agree 100%. Quitting is when you are just basically casting aside all of your skills, experiences, all of your unique thoughts, all of who you are. You're just casting it aside and saying it's not worth it. That to me is quitting. That to me is quitting. And, pivoting, redirecting, however you want to look at your career, your personal life, whatever, you can give up on a lot of things. You can just say, oh, I don't like this job. I'm going to do this, or this, boyfriend's not serving me, not yours. Okay. I'm sure he's wonderful. But like, you just can't kind of discard you. And that's, to me, what quitting really is. You're discarding all of your transferable skills, all of your life experiences, all of the things that make you, to do what? To fit a certain, who you think other people think you should be. I don't know. I never really bought into that. I may, move on from a job. I may change careers. I may, give up pursuing a new house. I might. I'm not going to quit on me. I'm not. I can't. I'm all I got.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. Now I'm inspired. We're a little ways out from the main women's conference and your keynote address there, but are there any things that you've already been kicking around, some ideas? What are you excited about? Anything in regard to that?
I'm just excited to talk to that one person that I was intended to reach, and I don't know who it is. And that's the way I go into any keynote that I have, whether I'm in front of hundreds or thousands, or maybe it's just a room of 5. There's one person in that room that I'm supposed to reach, and I don't know who it is. And that's my favorite part. There's somebody who had their heart broken, but their eyes opened. And it's my job to stand there in front of them and tell them that it's going to be all right. It is, that's what keeps me doing what I do. if I can walk off that stage knowing that one life is going to breathe easier, then I did my job.
I get a feeling you're going to be holding up a mirror for everyone to just get a better look at who they really are and not the self-doubts that they've been carrying around.
My favorite thing, and mirrors kind of bring back childhood memories for me. So my earliest memory of my mom, golly, and it's crazy when people are like, I can't believe you remember that. I do. It's just etched in my brain. I was probably a toddler. I was probably that small. And my mother would sit me in front of the mirror and say, she's the best one. You're the best one. And I don't know what that means, but I remember it. I'm 47 and my mother still says that to me. You're the best one. You're the best one. But she still says it to my brother, so I'm not sure how diluted that is. But she would say that, but she wouldn't, qualify it with you're the best this, you're the best this. She would say you're the best one. And that's all it takes is to be one person to believe in you, one person to speak life into you, one person to stand up and say, hey, this isn't right, one person to encourage you, one person to make a phone call. You just have to be that one.
Right.
I can't do everything, but I can do something.
In your own life, you're the one.
In my life, I am the one. I am. And my mother spoke that into me from early on, and I watch her do it now with her grandkids, and she's gone from being mom to Gigi, which is the best transition for her ever. She was a lifelong educator and poured into other people's children. And my father was the COO, president of the Fortune 500. So I have a business kind of acumen. That's my background with education and business. And then my mother had this unique ability to just remind you, you are that one. You were born special. You were born unique. Her phrase is, you have a signature strength. And it was her job to let me discover it, find it, decide if I wanted to walk in it, decide if I wanted to walk away from it. She was just so empowering, and just her presence was that way. So that's what I hope to be and have kind of aspired to be my whole life. Can I just be that one? Just one. I always wanted to be, if you were going to describe me as anything, I wanted you to describe me as reliable. You could count on me to be that one. Whatever that one was to you, I was going to be that one. Truth teller, joke teller, somebody to go have a drink with, somebody to go to church with. I'm that one. I'm your one. Doesn't matter. But most importantly, from early on, I knew I was that one for me.
That's beautiful. Okay. For those of you listening, a message from Gigi. Really listen to this.
Yeah.
In your life, you are the one. Mm-hmm. Whatever that means to you, in your life, you are the one. Mm-hmm. Brittney.
The best one.
The best one.
You are the best one. And, you got to bring it down and do your best Southern accent there, Jody. You're the best one, baby. You are.
I'm going to practice that.
You're the best one, baby. You are. And if you think you're not, then bless your heart, because someone has lied to you.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. Brittney, I'm excited to see you do this in person in front of a crowd.
Me too. I'm stoked. I don't know how this is going to play in Maine. I've only been there twice. Got to visit Stephen King's home, which was terrifying and awesome at the same time. And I got to play basketball at the University of Maine, which was wonderful. I can't tell you how excited I am. I can't tell you how confused I am about what I'm about to walk into and how I'm going to get there. I'm working on my flight and everything, but in case you can't tell, I'm just kind of humbled about it and stoked and nervous, and it's going to be awesome and terrifying and fun. So
it's going to be amazing. And Maine can't wait to welcome you back. So in the meantime, I'm going to go into detail in just a minute for everyone on how to get your tickets and that sort of thing. Whether you're in Maine, going to be vacationing in Maine, buy a ticket, come to Maine. You definitely want to check out Brittney in person. But Brittney, in the meantime, how can people connect with you? Where's the best place to find you?
Oh gosh. whatever you need. You can catch me on LinkedIn. It's just Brittney Ezell. Obviously, my Instagram is the same. I didn't get real creative with it. My website is brittneyezell.com, or heck, if somebody absolutely wanted it, I'd give you my cell number. I'm not going to do it right here because I don't know your reach. All right. But,
if maybe not.
If they need it, they can ask you and I'll give it to them. But I'm pretty open and I will always respond.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Brittney, I'm thrilled. And thank you so much for taking the time to inspire and enlighten us. We are all better for having met you.
You are a doll. Thank you so much. I'm excited.
What was your biggest takeaway from my conversation with Brittney? Head on over to LinkedIn to share your thoughts and takeaways on the post corresponding with this episode, and spread the word by sharing this episode with a friend. And also a reminder, Dr. Brittney Ezell will be a keynote speaker at the Maine Women's Conference on October 25th in Portland, Maine. So if you liked what she had to say here, you want to spend more time with her and meet her in person, I'm going to encourage you to buy your ticket to the Maine Women's Conference. The link to get your ticket is in the notes for this episode. So again, scroll down to access that link, and be sure to use the code in the notes as well to get 10% off at checkout. I will be speaking at the Maine Women's Conference as well, so I am looking forward to seeing you there.